who don't know me, my name is Kathy. I'm Kathy Ramsey. I'm the Partnerships Manager here at the Tourism Industry Council of South Australia. Today is Wednesday, the 8th of September. I can't believe it's September, but gorgeous to see the seasons changing and the sun is shining. It's filtering into my window out there today. The In Conversation series is a program regularly undertaken to help keep the South Australian tourism industry and stakeholders informed and engaged. Hi Julie, thanks for putting a hi in on the chat. I'll introduce our speaker in a moment, but first let's just run through the general housekeeping as everybody is joining. We welcome you to share your, turn on your video if you can. We'd love to see smiling faces, but understand everybody's technology is different. That said, we'd appreciate if you could keep your microphone on mute. It just allows that there's no disturbances or sound disturbances for the session today. But please do use the chat function. We like to keep the session interactive, and we will endeavour to work through any questions as we go through the session today, also allowing plenty of time for Q&A as well at the end. Hi Marianne, I just see Marianne's jumped online too. Hey, hope you're keeping well. So without any further ado, let's continue to kick off this session. We have still got some people joining us, but we'll push on. Today, our guest speaker is Amanda Bridge. She's a sales and marketing manager at Shop Local SA. Now, many of you, I'm sure, are already familiar with Amanda. She's a very familiar face in our industry, in our sector, being an experienced management consultant. She's had a long history of working in tourism and hospitality. However, in 2020, Amanda launched Shop Local SA, a platform which has helped tourism businesses create an online presence and enhance their distribution channels in obviously a really timely need for our industry. So I'm so pleased to have Amanda join us today, sharing with us her expertise and talking more to us on the concept of e-commerce and explaining how it can help us maximise our time and also revenue for our businesses. Welcome, Amanda.
Thanks so much, Kathy. I'm really happy to be here today.
Fabulous. So, Amanda, I think it's really important. There's so much to talk about in terms of online sales, or e-commerce is probably the typical term it's called. But I think it's really important that we put a bit of context to it before we start talking about what that looks like. And by what I mean in context is about some trends and the data. And I know Amanda's got a presentation prepared for us today with some detail on that. Perhaps if we could kickstart off talking about some data so we can all get a bit of context to really how much of an opportunity online distribution is.
Absolutely. Yep. Thanks so much. Now, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, I certainly can.
Excellent. Yeah, so I'll jump straight into the data. So one of the things that we do at Shop Local SA is really keep abreast of what's going on in the digital space. So lots of reports are coming out, particularly with post-COVID data, and we absolutely keep on top of all of that, and that helps us to keep our platform relevant, but also we share that with our vendor community and in sessions like we're doing today. So I'll jump in and just start sharing some of this data with you. So you would all be familiar with this notion of multi-screening. So 87% of Australians now have smartphones, and 35% of Australians have smart TVs. And there's this phenomenon now called multi-screening, where the stat is 63% are often multitasking while using their smartphone and tablet. So I'm sure you can all relate when you're sitting at home, you've probably all got your iPhone sitting right next to you now. You're watching me, checking your email. That's it, might pop a post on Facebook. This is the world we live in. So it's really important to recognise that, that is consumer behaviour. This slide here is really all about some consumer behaviour insights that came out of an Ernst & Young report called Digital Australia State of the Nation. So this is around what are consumers expecting in terms of a digital experience. The data is telling us that 40% of consumers will actually walk away from a business that fails to offer them a high quality digital experience. That's quite a sobering statistic. The other interesting one is that 35% of consumers will often research a product online whilst they're in your bricks and mortar store. So consumers are really wanting information, and they sometimes don't want to actually talk to you about that. They're wanting to look at a screen and do that research. So, really important to understand that and have information, good content available for your consumers. And the other one there is around app fatigue. So I'd love to know how many apps everyone's got on their phones, but on average, the data's saying there's 24 apps. And interestingly enough, not all that many get used very often. So there's only...
I probably agree with you. I could vouch for that. I would think I would probably scarily enough admit I've got more than 24 apps on my phone, but yeah, probably only use half a dozen of them on a regular basis.
Exactly. Yeah. So, that's interesting when it comes to working out what your digital solutions are. And so certainly it's not all about apps, but you do need to make sure whatever your content that you have out there is mobile friendly or tablet friendly. So it needs to be optimised, but not necessarily requiring an app. So so that's just some consumer behaviour. The other interesting thing that this survey came out with was that it identified the key drivers of a high quality digital experience. So these are the topics or the things that a consumer is looking for when they're online, and safety and security is number one. I don't think there's any surprises there. Number two is purchasing capabilities. So, consumers are really wanting to be able to transact with you online. And then following on from there is user experience, your content, customer service. So that's your responsiveness to, questions, those sorts of things. And then picking up on that mobile optimisation that we just spoke about.
And I'm sure, Amanda, this is some context that people need to look at this with the lens of their own website, but also, and we'll touch further on this, guys, as we talk to Amanda today, not only their own website, but where they are distributed online as well. So keep on thinking about these 6 drivers when you're looking at your own website, but other channels that you might be on online as well. Are they ticking these boxes? Which is, really interesting. That purchasing capabilities is number 2.
Absolutely. And, where tourism's in such a great spot because we've got the ATDW. So,
yes,
you really only got to do the work once in terms of your content and what have you. And then, that information then gets published to lots of different websites and places. So unlike other industries, they don't have anything like that. So, I really encourage anyone in the tourism industry to make sure their ATDW listing is really rich in content and accurate. Because that's really going to put you in a good position.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice, Amanda. Thanks.
Now, this slide's an interesting one. So this is really just talking about how small businesses compare to medium-sized and large businesses. And the definition of a small business is anything under 20 employees. So Kathy, that would be majority of the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is really relevant to talk about, Amanda, because as we know, and people on our call today, that tourism in our community is largely made up of that SME factor. So I'd be keen to get an understanding of what makes up those purchases for SME versus large businesses, and what these digital trends mean for small businesses versus the large, because it looks like I'm just quickly interpreting some data off the top of my head, but there are some opportunities here for small businesses to absolutely, it's not just for the big guys in the industry.
Yeah, this slide's really this was put out by the Australian Broadband Advisory Council, and what it's telling us is that small businesses are actually quite disadvantaged compared to large in the uptake of ICT in their business models. So what it's telling us here is that in terms of who's got websites, 43% compared to 94% of SMEs versus large have got a website. That's a staggering statistic in my book, because websites are reasonably easy to come by now. And remember, this is all sectors. So I would say tourism most definitely would be a higher ranking than that because of the type of industry it is. But very interesting to know. This next bar chart's around the use of social media. So 32% versus 81% of small businesses versus large actually use social media in their business. And then the last one I'll talk about is receives orders online. So 34% versus 52% have got that online purchasing capability. So very interesting. And in the digital space, small businesses can absolutely be competing with the large businesses because you can have a level platform, but you need to invest in tech.
Absolutely. This is taking us back to that slide, those 6 key things you have to do to make sure you've got a high quality digital experience. So it's not just having your own website, but how can that be, high quality so you're getting that conversion for sales?
Absolutely. The last statistic out of this particular report was that 70% of Australians have said that they want to support local businesses, but they can't do it because the digital experience is just not there. And that's really interesting. And if we all reflect back to when, we had the first lockdowns in COVID, I certainly know in our network, we were all scrambling to go, how can I support local in these terrible times? And it was really quite difficult. There were some businesses popping up with messenger ordering and others just didn't have e-commerce at all. You're having to dive in and out of separate websites, and it was actually quite difficult. But we still wanted to support local. So
absolutely. Yeah, look, Amanda, I think if we look back on the past 18 months, it probably really kicked off with the SATC as well. That Book Them Out campaign really harnessed our own passion about supporting local with that SATC Book Them Out campaign around the bushfire ravaged areas of South Australia, and that really harnessed our passion and the fact that we do want to support local. And then that obviously continued to gain strong momentum as we've gone through the last 18 months. So with that in mind, Amanda, let's drill down on what it looks like potentially for us in terms of a state as well. I can see you've got a bit more here about what people are purchasing
online.
Online is really interesting to know, because understanding, obviously there are some challenges around our markets at the moment, and there is a big intrastate market at the moment, but then it will obviously open up to interstate as well as those vaccination rates increase.
Absolutely.
I'd be keen to hear.
Yeah, this data's just from the Australia Post e-commerce report, and it's really, I guess, to put some context around what is happening in e-commerce and online shopping. And and no surprises again, Australian online shopping reached an all-time high following COVID, and it's not just metropolitan, it's actually happening in regions as well. And you can see there that the year-on-year growth was up 60% in metro, but 50.7% in regions. So I find that really interesting. Often regions lag in this type of thing, but not so much in this space. And in terms of frequency, on average, 1 million additional households shopped online each month in 2020 compared to 2019. So that's enormous. And the great stat is that 1.36 million Aussies did it for the first time in 2020. So all of a sudden, this market, we've got a whole heap of people that are now comfortable with online shopping. And it's quite interesting. But to your point, Kathy, what's happening in South Australia and what are people buying online? This slide here breaks down by category what the trends are. And like the overall trend for all categories, as you can see, is on the increase. And you can see what the lockdowns do in terms of spikes there. Yeah, but you can see we've got anything from fashion, food and liquor, health and beauty. Variety stores is an interesting one. So that's, across categories, household type goods. And home and garden is an interesting one. That's the green. I think a lot of people are, because they haven't been able to go out as much, they're probably doing some of those home improvement projects and happy to jump online and purchase what they might need for those projects at home.
Yeah, absolutely. But Amanda, wow, there's some staggering statistics you particularly shared with us in that last screen as well. But then looking at where that growth is at, how it's mimicked what sort of we've been through in the last 18 months as well. But also potentially, there's people shopping for the first time that have never shopped in previous years now online. Let's looking ahead, there's new buying behaviours that are potentially going to be here to stay. Are we best to assume that?
Well, look, we think so. That's what the data's telling us. So, so 4 in 5 households in Australia purchased something in 2020, which is 9 million. So
that's huge.
It's massive. So who wants a slice of that action? I think, we've just got to be ready and able to capitalise on some of this, because it is, and you don't need to have a big market share to really make an impact in your business. And of those, this slide here is saying 28 shoppers expecting their online shopping frequency to remain higher than before the pandemic is 28%. So, that like a third of people that have started doing this online shopping, they're going to keep that frequency up. So it's not just a one-hit wonder. And this is where that user experience is just so important, because once the consumer comes and purchases from you online, if they have a great experience, they're likely to come back and keep doing it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this is really, for everybody on the call today, this is really important information. Like I said, it's great to have context. So I really appreciate you sharing this information, Amanda. So again, when we're talking online, think of all those online distribution channels that you might have. So be it your own website, or if that's socials, and we'll talk more on what that looks like, because I think one thing we've got to really remember is online's open 24 hours a day. So I'm sure then there's, Amanda, some stats around, when people are perhaps looking the most, when people are shopping the most. Like you said, that there's a combination of people actually being in bricks and mortar stores and still looking on their phone at that store. So I'm sure there's some further important insights to the fact that online is 24 hours a day.
Absolutely, and Australia Post give us some stats on exactly what's going on at any time of the day, compared to the previous year. So we've just done a quick add up of this slide, and so it actually works out that 50% of online shopping is done outside of business hours. So we love this slide because, a lot of our vendors have got bricks and mortar stores, and often, even the ones that are owner operator and they haven't got a lot of staff, it's trading hours can get wearing, and, can get quite fatigued just having to open every day. But what e-commerce does as a value add to their business model is it allows them to earn, make sales and earn revenue while they're effectively asleep, which is great. And that's one of the wonderful things about e-commerce, the fact that you could come into your business the next morning with an inbox of orders, with the money in the bank. That is really what motivates us in terms of trying to help small businesses embrace e-commerce.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can put my hand up. I feel like I sit in that mid-evening section. I'm looking there, 7 to 10 p.m. at night. Yep, that's probably, I would say I would be in that statistic too.
I absolutely am. I know that's the only time you tend to have the headspace to think, oh, what do I feel like buying today?
Exactly. Oh, that's, really interesting.
Yeah, this slide, I'm almost through the data, everyone, so hang in there. But this slide's showing where online purchasing is happening. And so this biggest stat here, 61.3% of shopping is actually happening in marketplaces. Now, I don't mean Facebook Marketplace here. A lot of people often go, oh yeah, that's Facebook. This is marketplaces is what we call a website with lots of different shops within them. So Shop Local SA is an example of one. Amazon obviously is one, and we'll go into it a bit more. But this is very interesting for businesses to understand. So 61.3% of shopping is happening in marketplaces versus individual websites. So when you're embracing e-commerce, we encourage businesses to absolutely, they can have their own if they wish, but they also need to consider where else they should be placing their products on as far as an online distribution channel goes, knowing that consumer behaviour is really happening in marketplaces.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think you've given us some really great insight here, Amanda, in sharing these statistics. And like I said, whilst we have commonly talked in our industry about what that distribution channel looks like, we need to hone in a little bit more and drill deeper and go, well, online isn't just one distribution channel. There's so many distribution channels within that one online sector now, but albeit your marketplaces to your own website, we have to start just thinking away from what our own website might be, or even third-party websites like a booking.com. You know, there are so many more opportunities. We see the statistics there that support it, that there is a huge piece of the pie here that, you know, quite simply, it wouldn't take much to potentially, you know, get that and come into your business of a morning with some potential orders sitting there. So I suppose it's about takeaways from these trends you've shared.
Yeah, just to wrap up, yeah, it's really about just everybody acknowledging that the digital age is here. There's no escaping it, it's happening. And COVID's really fast forwarded us about 10 years. It has accelerated where things are moving in the digital world. And online shopping is certainly the new norm for consumers. So, you know, really important to understand that that's what consumers are looking for. It's not the be all and end all, but it needs to be part of the mix. Marketplaces should be a consideration for sure. Don't worry too much about apps, as long as your digital presence is mobile friendly. That's the main thing there. And don't forget that consumers want to be researching your product, and they possibly might do that in store. So content's really important for people. And the last one there is consumers really want to support local. And we've found, particularly in the work we do, that South Australians are particularly parochial about wanting to support local, but we need to make it easy for them to connect and to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Amanda. So, you know, moving forward, as I said, the data was great to give us great context. I really want to pick your brain now. You've had some great success with Shop Local SA. You know, let's drill down deeper, like we talked about before, about what online distribution looks like. And I suppose, like you've popped up here, those methods to sell online. What does that look like for no matter what sort of business you are, from a tour operator to a winery to an accommodation operator? You know, what does that look like?
Yeah, look, and there are a few ways that people can sell online now. So most of you would be familiar with the e-commerce store builders that are on the market. So this is like the Shopify, BigCommerce, those types of store builders that give you a templated solution and allow you to add product and transact that way. The other option is WordPress have got an extension called WooCommerce that can power transactions. So that's for your own websites. Then you can consider marketplaces as well, and Shop Local SA is a good example of that. And social media, so Facebook and Instagram have introduced a shopping feature now for their pages, so you can actually transact on your social channels as well. So they're the four key ways to be selling online.
Yeah, so I suppose it's really about expanding our thought. We've probably traditionally sold online through our own website, or if you're not like an operator, you might have tapped into like a third-party website like a booking.com. Yeah. Or some people might have not had online ability to do online transactions through their own website and have harnessed social media, but it's about having that breadth across a wider distribution mix online, isn't it? So it's not just social media and not your website, or just your website and not others. It's about having that. Am I correct in that interpretation, Amanda?
Absolutely. You really want to bring it all together, and understanding that consumers are going to find you in different ways. So they'll, you know, they will find you on social media. They will potentially find you in a Google search, your own website, depending on how active you are with your SEO. And marketplaces are a great way to be found too, because, you know, certainly I know our team's constantly working behind the scenes with SEO, like all sorts of optimization to make sure that listings are coming up. So if you're in that shopping mall, if you like, you're going to get seen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same methodology as like working with your ATDW listing, and if you're on any third-party websites, they're and for you guys, Shop Local SA, you've had some great growth. You guys are experts in this field, so instead of us trying to, an operator, we wear many hats trying to be across everything, you're tapping into that expertise to market your product as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just popped up a shot of one of our wonderful vendors, Experience Coffin Bay, but really this is just to highlight what makes a good online store. So imagery is really important, and branding, because when people are online, you want them to be able to know who they're shopping from. So you can see in this example, good branding in the banner here with some experiential shots, really important. Also for e-commerce, it's important to have as many products as you can listed, because consumers want to see variety, and if they see lots of listings, it gives them confidence. And we always encourage our vendors to include gift vouchers. That's actually a really strong market for them. I'll just jump to the next one and just keep going on this. Photography at product level is really important too. So you can see in this example, this is a product listing that as you drill down in Experience Coffin Bay store. So they've got a number of photos here that you can scroll through. And they're just beautiful images, and everybody in the tourism industry would understand how that's just so important. And yeah, that translates into general retail as well. Good information is really important too. So, these guys have put lots of detail about what to expect on the tour. People often love to read and not pick up the phone. So important to have lots of content there, and that also helps your SEO. So really important to include that. And the other a couple of points to make is, we find that bundling products is a really great way to increase the likelihood of transaction on e-commerce, and that's because of a few reasons. Consumers just want that one-click purchase. So if they are able to look at a bundled offer and purchase that with one click, that's better than having to go in and pick individual items and add to the cart. It also boosts the average dollar sale for the vendor, which is a good thing. We want to obviously turn over more money. We just find that by offering those bundled options, overall it just gives a better consumer experience. So they're just a couple of tips. And don't forget to remarket to your customer list. So, you're capturing email addresses if you've got your own e-commerce site, and certainly through Shop Local SA, we share that data with our vendors. So absolutely keep remarketing to them. That's really important.
So I think it's interesting what you've just shared there, Amanda. Like, I'm putting my operator hat on here, and whilst you might be thinking, oh, I'm a tour operator, I sell tours, and how can I sell tours through online marketplaces and even through my own website? Yes, you can sell them a set tour for a set day of the week, but you can sell tour gift cards or a gift experience. But also the next point is it's about that merchandise that I've great concept. You might be also driving sales afterwards, because if someone saw, has had a great experience on your tour, and then go, yeah, I want to grab the hoodie from Experience Coffin Bay, like, fabulous, you can get on and grab it as well. So yeah, that's really important to start expanding our thoughts on what you can put online to sell.
Absolutely. And an example of a bundled product for a tour operator might be, if they're just looking at their own business, it could be an experience, but then with some merchandise bundled in. So, go on a beautiful Coffin Bay tour and get an oyster shucking knife and a cap, for instance. That could be a bundle.
Yeah.
But there's also, this lends itself to partnering with other vendors as well. So why not then have dinner at 1802 in Coffin Bay and, sell that as a bundled experience?
Yeah, I was going to ask that question. So you could collaborate. So it's actually a collaboration tool on the back end for operators to collaborate with other people in their region or not in their region, do a multi-day sort of tour experience if people were going, down to the Fleurieu Peninsula, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of flexibility and scope within the marketplace environment for sure.
Yeah. So, Amanda, drilling down more into marketplaces, obviously, a lot of operators have got their own website. They might have some third-party operators. Let's start backwards. They've got their own website and an ATDW listing. They push that out to market. They also might have some direct interfaces with a booking.com and other sort of third-party websites. They might have a Facebook presence. So an online marketplace, like I know you've said that's more like an Amazon, so you can go in and buy many things. Explain at deeper level what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So the definition of a marketplace is what's up here on the screen. So an online marketplace is a website or an app in some instances that facilitates shopping from many different sources. One of the things that's really coming to light is that consumers, as we know, we've just seen that stat of 61% of purchases are happening on marketplaces, and it's because they feel secure. So, remember we said security, it was one of those top things driving consumer behaviour. Consumers are really enjoying marketplaces because they trust them. They do feel safe, and they're often using them to start their product searches. So interestingly, Amazon has surpassed Google for product searches just recently, and I think Google have got their eyes on this whole e-commerce space as well. It's really quite an interesting phenomenon, but when you talk Amazon and Google, it's just so big and you can get lost in there, and that's really, I think, where Shop Local SA saw an opening to really create a curated South Australian focused marketplace to help consumers feel safe purchasing from South Australian businesses. There's a couple of types of marketplaces that people need to know about. So there's what we call a vertical marketplace, is really those websites that offer product from lots of different channels, but they're really around a niche or a consumer need. So most of you would be aware of Etsy. It's all around art and craft, those types of products. You would all know Airbnb. That's an example of a vertical marketplace because it's just accommodation essentially. And Pet Market is an Australian marketplace that is just for pet products. So they're what we call vertical. And then as a comparison, we have horizontal. So this is really catering for all categories, a very broad scope. So Amazon's obviously the biggest one out there. Capture the Day is another example, and Shop Local SA is another example. So these marketplaces are really for people that are looking for anything. It doesn't have to be just tourism products, just food, just wine. It can be everything.
Yeah, and I think this demonstrates how we can evolve that online sales distribution for us as well, that online channel distribution for us as our thinking. We really need to expand our thinking there. So drilling down to Shop Local, Amanda, my own perspective, if I'm going to go over, I might go down to Roe for the summer holidays, but beforehand I could potentially jump online to Shop Local SA and organise my meat from the butcher, organise a voucher or an experience if that was doing Charlie's Surf School or something like that. But I can book it all in the one place for that one area. I'm going to get my alcohol order all set.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'll drill down a bit more now about Shop Local SA, because there's lots we can talk about in terms of what the functionality is. So just to start with, our vision behind putting this business together was really, we're wanting to build a thriving marketplace to raise the profile of South Australian businesses. There's lots of businesses there that people wouldn't even realise are South Australian. So, we see this as a method to really highlight those businesses, but also inspire community support. And, we know our South Australian consumers here are very parochial, and local means different things to different people. So we've and I'll talk about our navigation in a minute, because local could mean South Australia, but it also could mean Hahndorf if you're an Adelaide Hills resident. So our navigation really does talk to that. But I think if we just step back a minute and have a bit of a think about what the business challenges are that people are facing out there, we all know that you've got to be selling online to meet needs, the consumer needs. I think the data that we've just been through really demonstrates that. But for those that have tackled e-commerce or are thinking about it, it can actually be a bit overwhelming and expensive and time-consuming to get your head around it. So we can't just discount, even though there's lots of tools out there that you might want to use it for templated solutions. There's more to it to get it all configured properly. Then once you've done all of that, then you've got to work out how we're going to drive traffic to the store. So that can't be underestimated either. And then that last one there is accessing the local specialist support can be quite difficult. And we find even in regions that's quite difficult too, just because there's not as many people available to talk to businesses and take them through that. So we're really trying to address that with Shop Local SA. We're trying to give solutions to that. And so what it's all about is providing a collaborative online marketplace for South Australian businesses. And really, we're wanting to be an enabler for businesses to be able to collectively market and sell 24/7. And it's all about working together. So the whole notion of marketplaces only work if there's lots of businesses in them, giving a really rich offer for consumers. And we've really developed it, I guess, with small businesses in mind and to support sustainable regional communities. And for those of you that have known me from previous lives, you'll know that I'm very passionate about regional South Australia. And I've spent a lot of my life on the Eyre Peninsula and exploring, lots of regions in the state. So we're very mindful that we want to make sure that our regions are supported for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And what, took our interest here with TIC SA and looking at Shop Local, we can see this is, we love to give our members and educate members on opportunity to continue to develop their business. And we obviously have identified, especially through those stats you shared, Amanda, that the digital space is evolving. There's still so many opportunities for us, but it's a way about how do we work together in a collaborative space, because we understand as small business owners we're wearing multiple hats. So it's about tapping people into the people who are doing great stuff in their field, and this is exactly what Shop Local SA are doing, and fundamentally their values fit with our values of us as TIC SA as an organisation and our members, in providing an opportunity for business development, but business development through collaboration. So like we've talked about, you could collaborate with other products, not even only in your region, but throughout the state, to continue to evolve how your business model is. It sounds so exciting, Amanda.
Thank you. Yeah. I thought I'd just share with you a little bit about why vendors are coming on to Shop Local SA, just to hopefully give a bit more context. But some vendors come to us because they don't have any e-commerce at all. And so we're providing that entire solution for them. So that's really about enabling them to be able to sell 24/7. We've also got vendors that have got their own online store through their own website, but then they're looking for another distribution channel. So that's, to your point before, Kathy, about making sure you're in multiple places. So we certainly provide a solution for that. A lot of vendors are coming on because they're wanting to access our customer base, and our customer base is growing all the time, but it's really full of people that are wanting to support South Australian businesses. Having said that, we have been getting some sales from international as well as interstate. So it's a really great way for people to jump in and be able to explore South Australia.
Oh, and that's fabulous that you're getting sales interstate and internationally, because if people are wanting to, pull together if they've experienced South Australia before, but they can't get to us, well, this is a nice way for them to experience it in terms of, pulling together an SA hamper through Shop Local SA.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. There's some vendors that are wanting to keep up with their competition, so they're seeing their peers come on, so that's an interesting one as well. Others are coming on to really reinforce that they're South Australian and to show their support for local. Roban Men's is a great example of that. They've got retail shops in Hahndorf, McLaren Vale and Glynde, and they're really passionate about showing that they are, supporting their local communities where their stores are, and they're proudly South Australian, so it's a good way for them to demonstrate that. And last but not least, it's really to give consumers a great, easy way to support local.
Yeah, exactly. And that demonstrates you've got, you appeal to a wide breadth of businesses adopting, being present in a marketplace, Amanda, from a Coffin Bay oyster experience to a Roban Men's, who are a great, successful as well, but large business in South Australia. So I think it poses some questions to everybody on the call today is, first of all, are you offering a high quality digital experience? Is probably something I take away from that, and those 6 points that Amanda took on earlier. And just as a side note, we are recording this session, so you can come back and revisit that as well. But also, where are you wanting your business to go? So some of these why questions, are you selling online? If you're not, well, you could tap into Shop Local to put that e-commerce also through your own website. Are you what's your online distribution looking like? Is there room to evolve? And I certainly sound like there is more room to evolve distribution channels. Are you wanting to reach more customers? I think that's a tick for everybody. And these are customers that might have not been in your typical mix as well. And yeah, it's all about local, which is really good. And I'm going to we've all seen what Kelly's just put up there. Oh, Kelly from Jungle House Experiences. They're on board with Shop Local SA by the sounds of it, because it's all about distribution channels and to build on their customer bases. So yeah, Kelly's made some great comments there. So there's some important whys and important questions I think this everybody could ask themselves as they're looking through this and reflecting on our session as we move away as well, guys.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. And yes, Kelly is one of our amazing vendors on Shop Local SA, and she was an early adopter. She came on quite early in the piece and has really embraced everything we've thrown at her. From we've just actually done some great filming to promote her business amongst our vendor network, and there's lots of opportunities to engage with us once you are part of our community. So yeah, Kelly's a great example of that. I'll jump into a bit more about the site and the navigation just to give people some familiarity. But for those that want to get into it a bit deeper, certainly jump onto shoplocalsa.com.au. This is just a screenshot of our homepage, and our navigation is set up so that people can shop by location. So this will split out to the tourism regions of South Australia, and then you can go one step further and shop by town. So for instance, you can shop by Eyre Peninsula and then have a look at Coffin Bay as an example. And, we find we were in very early discussions with SATC when we were building this to make sure that we were dovetailing into the initiatives that they're doing. And that's one of the outcomes of that, is to have that location functionality in the platform. The other way to navigate is to shop by category, which is our Shop Now menu system here. So you can click on this one and it'll bring out all of the categories that we have, and we've got anything from art to jewellery to experiences to food, wine, gin, you name it. There's lots of different categories on there, and we really do try and cater for all retail businesses. This is an important one because I think certainly in regions, if you're a retailer in a region, perhaps you're a fashion store, there's not a lot of avenues for you to be able to increase your online distribution. Unlike tourism, tourism's really quite well served in terms of booking.coms and red balloons, etc. But if you're a traditional bricks and mortar retailer, there's not a lot out there for you. So we're really trying to offer a great solution for those types of businesses with this as well. Then we've also got a featured SA products area, so that's our promotional curated products. And SA Vendors is finally our tab where you can see all of the businesses on the platform. So if you want to just go window shopping and browse, you can.
Fantastic. I love that overview, and it's so much opportunity for the shopper. And like I said, the way I've interpreted it is correctly. Like if I was going, for me as a shopper, if I was going on a holiday somewhere, I can tap into a region or a town and you know, start to make some purchases in anticipation for our trip, which is exciting because nothing's like rocking up somewhere and you've got yourself all organised, is there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. So this is just a few screenshots of what a region page looks like. So all vendors in regions get a spot on here. These three positions up the top here are paid positions and a click will take you straight into the actual shop itself. But again, everyone gets representation at region level and at town level. And then this final shot here is what an actual store looks like. So we're really heavy on branding. We want to make sure that a consumer knows who they're buying from. So we do that at store level, but also at product level. So if someone's coming in and shopping experiences, for instance, and they're looking at the entire state, they know that that experience is from Juggle House Experiences or from Coffin Bay Experiences. It's not just a generic, product listing. And that's something that's a bit different about us compared to other marketplaces. We're really very focused on having that business tagged.
Yeah, that's great. That's fabulous.
Yeah. Quick, just a more of a zoom in look here. Every vendor gets a secondary page here that sits behind their main page, and we have backlinks to their own websites here, which really helps with SEO to your own store. And there's some additional information you can put in there in terms of your terms and conditions and those sorts of things.
And Amanda, talk to me more about the vendor store pages have a unique URL, sorry, getting my words around the wrong way there, has a unique URL. From that can present additional opportunities as well. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right. So that URL can be used in marketing to take people straight into your store rather than coming through the front door of the shopping mall, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, it's really good for businesses that don't have e-commerce. So if you've got a website and you pop a shop now button on your website, it can point you straight into this page here. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's good. Adventure Bay Charters used that for their merchandise sales. So they had their shop now button on their website, which took then the consumers straight into their vendor store to be able to purchase merchandise, which was great. And it's really very flexible. We can also integrate that into your social shop pages on Instagram and Facebook. So we can essentially power those transactions for you and offer you a complete e-commerce solution, and knowing that you've got all of the safety, cyber security insurance in place through us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're piggybacking off the experts here, so that's fabulous. Now, and I might put you on the spot here, Amanda, so I apologise if I do, but with unique URLs, you can also create QR codes these days. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And obviously, QR codes, it's the way to go. Every generation knows how to use a QR code now. So is that an additional opportunity there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do offer that to our vendors as well. We can create posters with QR codes that once scanned, again, take you straight into your vendor store. So this is fantastic for tour operators that have got merchandise on offer. They can be having that QR code on their vessel or vehicle, and consumers can be scanning and purchasing, in the downtime while they're traveling somewhere. And
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's really functional. So yeah, that's absolutely available.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, and another point, it's about marketplaces, and it's the same as your other online distribution channels you might be working with. Comes marketing opportunities, and it's all about tapping into the expertise knowledge, and that's not just with the e-commerce. It's about marketing and tapping into new customers, like Kelly mentioned earlier as well. So, talk to us about marketing opportunities and those marketing and opportunities and what Shop Local SA is doing in that space, Amanda.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, look, the marketing's really important. So we do regular EDMs to consumers as well as stakeholders. So all of our vendors get an opportunity to be featured in those. we're heavy on the social media. We're building a big audience through that, so our vendors get promoted through that. We've mentioned the QR codes and integration into the social shops. That's part of that marketing support as well. And from time to time, we run promotions. We've just finished our Father's Day promotion with South Aussie with Cozzy, where we opened that up to our vendors to partner with us to provide some beautiful Father's Day gifts for South Australians entering that. We've done a wine promotion where we've curated wine bundles from all of our vendors in the wine space. We're looking to do an experience promotion leading up to the October long weekend. So any of our vendors that are offering experiences will have the opportunity to leverage that promotion as well. So we're certainly very active in that space. And media opportunities is the other thing that we're really driving. We've had some fantastic coverage on 9 News, as well as various radio interviews and newspaper, and we always make sure we bring vendors with us on those media opportunities, because it's a great opportunity for a vendor to tell their story. And we see us as really a mechanism to lift vendors up. So whilst it's still important to build our brand, we always want our vendors to be part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, well, that's fabulous. So I suppose if I'm putting my operator hat on here, questioning you, Amanda. So this all sounds great. Ticks so many boxes for me in terms of I'm not on marketplaces. I have a little bit of online distribution, but absolutely I can evolve that. I do want to speak to new customers. What would be the next steps for me in terms of, and I am local, I'm all about South Australia. I'm really passionate about our industry and our state. So what would be the next steps in terms of, getting involved and what sort of commitment does this, obviously everything comes as a cost. So I think it's really important to unpack what that looks like if I was to come on board Kathy's tours.
Kathy's tours, excellent. I'd say get some merchandise, Kathy. Let me just jump across on what's involved to join. Firstly, there's no annual subscriptions or monthly fees to be part of Shop Local SA. We are essentially in a success-based model, so we do attract a commission on what gets sold through the platform. That's the way we are a sustainable business.
Sure. And what sort of commission would that be, Amanda? Everybody would be familiar with commissions in tourism, so that's good.
Yeah, I'd love to take a poll on what people think it would be. It'd be interesting, but I know we're running out of time. So we've got a very special commission rate set for vendors coming on with us at the moment, and it is a low introductory foundation member rate, and it's only 5%.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's really
that's great.
Great time to join us. It will go up, there's no doubting that, but for people that are coming on now, we lock them in for life at 5%.
5% commission. Wow. Gee, those days seem to be years ago for many of us in the industry. Talking 5%, that's very attractive, isn't it?
Absolutely. And then the only other thing to consider is your onboarding package. And we've got a number of different packages to support people to come on, depending on how many products they've got, how much support they need, and how much time they want to put into it. So I'll just scoot across here. So all of our vendors get access to our secure transactional gateway. So we use Stripe to power transactions. And we've got lots of layers of protection across that. Everybody also gets our cybersecurity insurance protection. So that looks after our platform, but our vendor stores inside, which is really important. And our vendors have got flexible delivery options, all configurable as well. So everybody gets that. And then it's a matter of just working out which package you'd like to dive into with us. We've got 3 packages starting as low as $800 once off. And it moves up from there depending on what people are wanting. Our enterprise package is a customised solution where we look at different marketing support packages with our vendors there as well. So I just would encourage anyone that's interested to book a call with our team, and we can work out where your business is best suited to work with us.
Absolutely. And I suppose something I really want to talk to people about is it's often its cost. And we have to really remember, like, we talk commissions, and that's really prominent in tourism. So we're comfortable with talking commissions, but sometimes people are scared about commissions. No one needs to be scared about commissions, because if you don't realise, every channel of business you have is a cost. If that's through your phone, if that's through your own website, there's a cost associated with every channel. It's just being smart on those distribution costs and looking at those, what they look like compared to other distribution costs as well. So yeah, it's just something I just thought I'd touch on there, because people don't really look at it in that aspect sometimes, but it's really important to understand whatever channel, however business comes to you, there's a cost to it. There's a cost to answer the phone, there's a cost to service your phone if it's your website. So just something to be mindful of. And these are some really attractive packages Amanda and the team at Shop Local SA are offering, that is not only just exposing you to new customers and new opportunities, but it could be your own branded shopfront as well on your own site. So providing multiple e-commerce solutions for your business as well.
Yeah, yep. No, thank you, Kathy. I'm conscious of time. So did you want to do questions, or what were you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really conscious of time too. So if anybody's got any questions, as we said, we recommend people to put them in there. We've got some really great feedback from everybody on the presentation. And more than anything, what we just do hope to do is educate people. So it's continuing to, we've seen someone really good in this space being Shop Local SA and what they're doing, and just really wanted to bring this educational opportunity to our community on ways how they could further develop their business and get a piece of this pie that is the evolving trend of online shopping as well. So thank you, Amanda. I really appreciate the time and effort you've put into coming on board today. Yeah, I can see you've put a lot of work into, and especially all your the digital trends. It's important to be able to reflect on that, to give context. And if anybody hasn't got any questions, that is completely fine. What we'll do is we run a post EDM session. Sorry, we send out an email post this session, and we will send that out with the recording of the email, of the recording of this session, and contact details direct through to Shop Local SA, and how to further explore these opportunities as well.
Thanks, Kathy, and we'll put a link in there to book a call with us. We're very keen to talk to individual operators, but if you're from a local council or an RDA or a business chamber, please reach out to us, because we are doing a lot of work with those types of stakeholders around the state. And there's lots of opportunities where we can really collaborate and work together. So I'd really welcome any contact from those on the chat.
Oh, fabulous. Thanks, Amanda. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you to Amanda, and I hope everybody enjoys the rest of the week.